I'm with my friend J. Warner Wallace, best-selling author of the book Cold Case Christianity. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good, but I'm thinking as I kind of saw how we're framing this, how we're getting started on this, that I don't even want to be standing. When I stand next to you, I feel short. Does everyone say that to you?
Not everyone.
Pretty much. Is it just my own insecurities that are coming out by me saying that?
Well, maybe I'm too tall. Maybe you're just the right height.
We got a curb here. Can I just stand on the lower part or the higher part of the curb and you step down on the lower?
It's good to see you, Jim.
Good to see. We're here for a conference in Arizona, where it's
beautiful.
Surprisingly
in
in
Tucson,
October
it?
It's only 90 degrees. That's
but low
good.
humidity, so it's
of course
it's really tolerable.
Yeah, that's what they say anyway. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Well, how's it different where you live?
Well, it is dry also. Southern California's got some of that, but I'm close enough to the beach where it doesn't burn off usually until like it could be foggy all morning, you know, and then it'll burn off around 11. And then it's like this, you know.
What a bum, living so close to the beach.
Well, I mean, that's just the nature of it. I don't even like, listen, I was in Seattle last weekend.
That's a nice
with
place. Greg
Kokel, right?
I mean, I don't know that I want to live there.
Well, it was raining the whole time we were there. And while we were there, Greg was with me, Greg Kokel, and we're doing a reality conference. And he's got a young lady named Danielle who does that conference. She sets it up. She's like, I'm feeling some spiritual oppression here in the Northwest. I said, no, you aren't. She's from Southern California too. I said, you're just in fog. You're just in overcast. That's how we feel. If we don't have it like this, we're like depressed because we feel like, oh, it's overcast. Like that's an oddity.
How far do you live from the beach?
Probably about 5 miles.
Oh man.
As a crow flies. But in California, 5 miles, you might as well be in the next, state. Because it'll take you forever to get there.
We used to live in Virginia Beach. We were there for 14 years and it was nice. It would take us 20-25 minutes to drive to the ocean. It's nice to know you could just go there anytime. And it's like now if you want to take a vacation at the beach, you're hoping that the weather's going to be good.
Yeah,
but when you live there, it doesn't matter.
Well,
if the weather's bad, you just go next weekend.
Well, people come all the time to California in June thinking, oh, I got my first week of vacation in summer. And June in California, in Southern California, was lame. I mean, it's overcast and cloudy and foggy. June gloom, it's not.
Can we go that way?
Yeah, let's go that way. Okay. We're just exploring this place ourselves. We're not even sure what's here.
It's kind of neat.
It's like we're in this resort where they're holding this conference. Although it's not that, I haven't been to the church yet. You've been to the church.
Yeah, I was there this morning, Calvary Chapel East campus.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
But it's not that close to here, right? But it's good. There.
I think it's 16 minutes.
Oh, not bad.
That's what the GPS would
So
say.
we're seeing all kinds of stuff here that we don't usually see. Like some of these trees are
pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're like cactus trees and stuff. So.
Frank Turek was telling me the other day that he was driving at night and they saw a snake in the road.
Yeah.
And they stopped and it was a rattlesnake.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
It's like, I don't think I want to live there.
Well, I know, right?
Sometimes I like to take walks at night. Man.
Well, that's like if you have single loaded trails, if you're a trail runner, there's a certain season where I'm always apprehensive to run because the trails are single trails and there's just not enough space to see what's coming across that trail until you're right up on it. And then if you're right up on it, you're too close to it. So I'd much rather not run in some of these single trail places like this until it's a little bit cooler.
Wow. So, all right. Now, you were a detective.
Yeah.
And I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Well, and I'll tell you something. I have a couple cases that are still open. I'm still actively involved with. So I was hoping you would say that.
I thought you were.
No, I
were retired.
Well, part of it
is that you're old enough for that.
I know. Well, part of it is that if you're the last guy to touch the case, then as soon as the next guy touches the case, he's going to call you and say, "Hey, can you help me with this case?" Although I used to want to be the closer. I don't want to be the guy in the middle, right? The guy who handled the case in the 2018, 19, and then doesn't get solved till 2030. I don't want to be that guy in the middle. I want to be the guy who closes it. But you just have a role to play. That's what I'm doing now.
So, if you're a murderer or a rapist, there's no statute of limitations, and if it's an unsolved crime, you might not be free in a few years.
Well, and it's
people like you that could put them away.
Yeah, in California, it's only for murder. So murder doesn't close. Everything else does eventually close. So, so if you are
how many years?
Well, so it depends on the state and depends on the crime. So if it's a burglary, it's going to be X number of years. If it's a robbery, so we have these different levels of felony, and as they go up, the
What's the longest?
statute of limitations. Well, it's for murder. It's and then rape is next down from that.
What's rape?
Robberies.
How far from rape?
You know, I don't even know what it is in California now. I want to say it's in the 15 range, in the 7 8 range for robberies. I think burglaries are probably that same range. So it's class of felony, and this is a moving target in California.
So 15 years if a person robs a bank and they're not caught, and 20 years later they find.
So banks are a little bit different because they're federally insured money.
Okay.
So those are federal cases. Used to be, when I first started, as a matter of fact, we had
So they wouldn't get you in California, but the federal government.
the federal
can come.
government can. We wouldn't even file the case. When I first started, I would work with the FBI. We'd identify it. We'd take the guy to jail, but then we'd immediately release him to the federal authorities. Now, since 9/11, all the bank robberies are not being worked by the FBI. They are now joint task force. They're assigned to mostly terrorist stuff. So we're back to filing these things on state level. They're back to us. Hey, we're gonna get some people doing some golfing here. They're swinging some clubs. We're in the wrong business. Okay.
I don't know. You know, I've said to
Whatever
Frank
they're
the other
doing,
day, my
It's more lucrative. Whatever they're doing.
my son, when he was young, he's playing Little League Baseball. He had a friend, his best friend, his dad loved golf, and he said, golf, that's like t-ball for adults.
Yeah, I guess it kind of is. I mean, if you look at what you're seeing here right now at this resort we're at, it is kind of like t-ball for adults, huh?
Yeah, let's see if I'm gonna whip the camera around just a little bit, so people can see
So
if
you can see where we are back
so
here.
I guess this is an outdoor driving range. Well,
Yeah.
I guess driving ranges are all outdoor, right?
Well, I guess there's some, but it's not even, it's wide open.
It is beautiful. And behind us
It is
let's
just
see.
the mountains.
Yeah, really beautiful place
Pretty
here.
cool.
What is this called? It's something canyon.
Dude, I don't even know what this is called. This is how bad it is when you're just kind of dropped into a location to do a conference, and I shouldn't even know where we are. I just know I had this, and this got me there. I just turned it on, the mapping brought me here. That's all I know.
It's amazing, isn't it?
After that, I have no idea.
We take it for granted now, but I was thinking like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, what if, won't it be great if someday that GPS, when you're driving, if it looks at the traffic and can suggest an alternate route that will save time.
Yeah,
and now
right?
it's like,
yeah,
you know, it does.
Everyone does that. Come on. Now it tells you can talk to people who are on the same route with you, of course. That's been going on for years too.
Jim, okay, so when you did Cold Case Christianity, how long when did you become a believer?
I was 35, so let's see.
How old are you right now?
I'm 59.
Oh, me too. When's your birthday?
June.
Mine's July, so you got
I'm a
year
little
older. I'll call you
dang.
sir.
Okay, I don't want, listen, when you get this age, do I really want to be the one who's called sir? I don't. Okay. I hate it. My son Jimmy is now doing apologetics videos, and I'm watching him and I'm thinking, in my head, I actually still think I'm his age.
Yeah.
But then I catch up myself in front of a mirror and I realize, oh my God.
Well, you know, I have friends in their 80s, and they say the same thing.
Are you talking about Greg Kokel? I was just curious. I want to get that in there to see if he ever watches this, then he can complain to me later about it. So,
so like at people in their mid 80s, I've got several friends at that age, and they'll tell me that, in their minds, they still think they're like in their 20s.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual.
Yeah, I found that as I got older, I thought that as you get older, you're like everything kind of ages, but no, in your head, you don't even see yourself. You're wondering, why does that hurt now? Why is that knee giving me a problem when I'm running? Then you realize it's actually, the problem is your mind does not necessarily age at the same pace as your joints and your body and everything else, right? So,
at 59 now, it was like just before my mid 50s, before 55, you start to see some other stuff. Your body, it gets injured more easily than quickly than it used to.
Longer to heal.
Longer to heal. Yeah. And you can still do stuff, but you probably shouldn't.
Right, and I don't want to give that stuff up. So I still want to be able to run the lanes I want to run. I'm not going to run as fast. People will ask me after we do a half marathon or something, well, what was your time? And I said, I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. But you're not getting my time. Or I also have learned not to take a picture with your bib number on it after a race, where people can go online and see how ridiculously slow you are. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that either. So I call it running, but I know that it's not really running. It's not even jogging. It's really a word that Susie and I, my wife, have kind of describe it as sloughing. We're kind of sloughing. It's
well, compared
barely
to people,
moving.
yeah.
You know, especially compared to what we used to do, say, 10 years ago. It's, yeah, but still, as long as you can keep on doing it, that's good enough.
You know, it is difficult to see, like, it is hard to start coming to realization that your health is declining. I mean, it's still good at our age, but it's declining. It's not going to ever be like it was before. And coming to terms with that, I know every day now I try to have the right kind of mental attitude. And I wake up in the morning and I say, you know what? I am one day closer to meeting my Lord Jesus.
Yeah, that's no kidding.
One day closer.
No kidding.
And I'm thinking, I was telling my wife the other day, she says, you really do? I said, I do. Because this is the attitude we're supposed to have. Well, do you really think that? I say, well, not all the time. You know,
Yeah, isn't that funny that we don't live?
but we try to.
Yeah, I don't.
We
live-
should.
I struggle with this. I don't live as though, when you're an atheist for 35 years, and I mean, no, I might as well have been an alien from another planet that dropped in on the church to visit. I didn't have any idea.
Guess we should cross over there.
Yeah, I
They
guess
told
so.
us not to go down the
Oh, is that right?
golf cart
Okay,
thing.
that makes sense. But I didn't have any sense
So
of.
I'm glad you're walking on this other side. So if a drunk driver
That's
kind of
right.
comes on the pavement, they'll get you.
That's right. Well, that gives you. But don't you want to be 1 minute closer to see you already?
Oh, that's true. Let me get on
a
the other
living
side.
contradiction. You are now. Yeah, but I still have a hard time reminding myself to look at everything, including, issues about eternity through a Christian lens, because I had spent so many years looking at it from an atheistic lens. Like, okay, everyone dies. That's just the way it is. That stinks. But that's just the way it is. And you do want to extend out as much as you can here, because there is no after here. So I think it is hard to live consistently with that worldview.
You know, I was at the conference today after my lecture. I went out and I was talking to a guy in the hall. I missed Greg Kokel's lecture because of it. He was asking questions, and so we just went out and talked for over an hour.
Good.
He called himself an agnostic Christian, or a Christian agnostic,
Okay.
I forgot which.
Okay.
And he said, I'm a Christian because I like Christianity. I like the teachings. I like, being around the people and stuff, but I don't really believe that there's an afterlife. And I said, why are you a Christian? And, why are you? Because if I weren't a Christian,
Yeah.
if I didn't think it was true,
Right.
if I didn't think Christianity is true, I wouldn't be a Christian.
Right.
Well, why not? And so, look, I've been married 33 years. I've got a really good marriage, a strong marriage right now, but it's not always been that way. There have been, times when my wife and I thought we made the wrong decision. And it's like, we wouldn't be married today if we hadn't been Christians, because we stayed together because of the Christian ethic, not the divorce.
That's interesting.
Um,
So you saw that this has an outcome. In other words, that your Christian beliefs. But see, look, let's go up this way. I think, because this is going to go right to the street.
Yep.
I think that a lot of folks. My dad was this way. My dad's not a believer, and he wouldn't even call himself a Christian agnostic. He would just say he's not a believer. He doesn't believe any of this stuff. But he would also say that it has great value. Like, he would see it as something honor. He always says it this way: I would far rather live in a country and a world that is dominated by Christian ethos than one that's not.
Okay, well, I would agree with that.
Okay, me too. So,
I mean,
but
you look
that's-
at those that aren't dominated by it, right?
Right. So he's
I don't
just,
want to live there.
Yeah, he's just going to say, okay, so that's the only value it has to me. I don't see it any other way.
But then I would only follow it
I know.
when it's convenient.
I'm not sure I would go to church
right?
every Sunday.
I wouldn't go to church.
But he might. Look, I first went to church because my wife wanted to go to church, and I love my wife. I saw my dad do this. I was willing to do it. I didn't want to do it every week, okay? But if she would have said to me, no, I really want to go every week, I would have gone every week, okay? I would have just bared through it. Like, my dad has done this with 2 wives, and that's just who he is. So I think I could have done that as an expression of duty and of concern for my wife, even though it's not true. And I would have just lived with it. What got me, when I went, this pastor, he was so provocative,
Maybe we should move.
and he
a little
said
bit.
something that I thought,
Here, you can be on the sidewalk over here. Now we're the same
now
height.
we're the same height. This is awesome. You see the difference? There's like a 6-inch difference, dude. Drives me crazy. Anyway, but this dude was so provocative. He made this claim that Jesus was like the smartest man who had ever lived. And that's really what started me being interested in it. Was I just wanted to see what were these smart things that he supposedly said. And that's why I bought a Bible.
And how old
kind of
were
a
you
red
at this
letter.
point?
I was 35.
Okay.
Kind of a red letter thing. I was only interested in the red letters, you know, like what did he say that was, because I assumed on its face that everything else aside from the red letters was probably false.
Now you
so
have
much
to come
of that
down
was
to my level,
supernatural,
man.
yeah.
Just for a moment.
So much of that was supernatural, I just could not buy it. But I was interested in the teaching.
So how did you come to become a Christian?
Well, I just started looking at it and then I said, okay, well, so I read through the four Gospels. And I thought, well, how do I, look, I work old cases. And a lot of times when I'm working the case.
Well, this is so cool. Let me just turn this around.
Yeah.
See if
this is somebody's street. This is what gets me. Look at this. Here we go.
All right.
That's somebody's view over their street. I'm just going down my street.
You know, I'm seeing on my phone right now what this looks like, and these mountains are a lot closer than what it shows.
I know. Yeah.
A lot closer. It's just beautiful.
I think the GoPro's really kind of designed to capture as much as wide as it can, right?
I think so.
Right. But anyway, yeah, this is pretty.
Get you that
nice.
way too.
Pretty nice place.
So
anyway, so look, in my cases, I often do not have access to the people who are making the claim. They've died, and even the guy who wrote the report, if the case is old enough, that dude's dead too. So now what do I do when I don't have access to either the report author, the guy who actually penned it, or the person who spoke it? I have no access to either. So I just thought, well, let me just take the approach I would take with supplemental reports and let me lean in and see what this does, how these hold up. And that's how I ended up. It took me forever. I mean, that's what it always does. And there's times when you're working a homicide where you're thinking somebody else, a partner of yours, is so sure that this is the guy. But I'm like, no. I want to be the last guy to say yes. The last guy who says he's convinced. Then I feel like, well, we're probably in the right place, right? I could be that one juror who is hesitant. I want to be that juror. So if I think the case is strong enough to file it, so I can convince that juror, well, then we'll probably be okay in trial. So that's kind of always the approach that I took with these cases. Last one in.
So, all right, if you became a Christian at the age of 35 and you're, as we do this, you're 59.
Yeah.
That was 24 years ago.
Yep.
So we're looking at 1996.
Yeah, six-ish. I know that I have a picture of my baptism, so I know when I finally said yes, but I just don't know when I first started looking, because I wasn't like locking it in. I know I spent probably 6 to 8 months in the four Gospels before I even got to the letters of Paul. I just wanted to stay in the four Gospels.
Nice.
To test those.
Good place to be.
Yeah, it was a good place. But I tell you, it's really, just be honest about it. If you don't have the entire breadth of the New Testament, most of what the New Testament says about you is in the letters of Paul. Rather than, don't get me wrong, I know the gospel is in the Gospels, but its clearest presentation, like I never had to confront my own sin problems really until I already had tested the Gospels and already thought, okay, this is reliable, so now where do I go from here? And then I'm reading through Romans and 1 Corinthians and realizing that they're describing me. And I now trusted that they were describing me accurately because I already had some reason to trust the New Testament from the other stuff. And that's what really, I think, turned the corner for me. You know, it was a whirlwind. Susie never saw that coming. I mean, she had no, probably hope. She always describes it, that was the most miraculous 2 years. Because
was she already a believer?
No, you know, but she was open to it. I was not open.
Okay.
So she was raised in a Catholic tradition.
Would you say you were an atheist, agnostic at the time?
Well, let me tell you why. I said this before a number of times. Most of the people we were taking to jail would tell us they were Christians.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they were so lame. I mean,
how many of them would say they were
ridiculous.
innocent? What percentage?
Oh, every one of them.
100%?
Some. No, I shouldn't say that. Because a lot of them I caught in progress. I was working on an undercover team where someone would say, hey, I think Joe is doing robberies. Really, where's Joe staying? Well, he's a drug addict, he's staying at this hotel. So our team would go and we'd sit on the hotel. And Joe would come out and he'd score dope for a couple of days, and then eventually he'd get in a car and he'd go to a bank and he'd do a bank robbery. I'd be in the bank when he's doing the robbery. I'm working undercover. I'd run back out after him, tell everybody we got a good robbery. And now all of a sudden we're descending on this guy because it turns out Joe was doing bank robberies. Well, then you get that guy in the car, and that's when he's going to tell you the story about conversion. And I'm thinking, okay, well, clearly he knows. We saw him do it, so that issue's resolved already. He knows he's guilty.
So why would he say he converted? Hopefully.
Well, I think he's having
why is he
a moment.
robbing banks if he
Yeah.
converted?
Oh, listen, this is the thing people always say. You will not believe the things you'll hear people say in this job. And that's so common. And I think sometimes it's a moment of feeling bad about who he was, like he knows he should be doing better than that. Look at these houses sitting here.
Beautiful.
Turn
the camera around here.
Yeah, these are some big homes that are sitting here in these foothills over Tucson.
Yeah, I wonder if...
Yeah, this is like our house, right? I mean, your house is like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mine's just like that, only in a much different location and about 1/5 the size.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's exactly like that.
And again, it's a lot closer than what our
I know.
shine. It is pretty.
I know. Yeah, this is pretty cool.
All right. Hey, tell you what, let's end there and we'll pick up with another video.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoy these videos, consider supporting us. You can give a gift of any amount, either one time or on a monthly basis, and all gifts are tax deductible as allowed by law. Just go to our secured website, risenjesus.com/donate. Thank you.